Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Charlemagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest joining us today.
Who we got?
Amani, welcome.
Hello. Thanks
How are
for
you?
having me. I'm good. How are you?
How are you? Good to see you in person.
Yeah.
You just reminded us, because I, in my mind, you was here in studio, but it was over Zoom when you was running for Congress.
Yeah. It was during COVID.
Yeah.
Everything was remote still.
Yeah.
Totally different vibe now, huh?
Have you bounced back from all the COVID stuff? I don't feel like none of us were the same after COVID.
No, I think I definitely have. As a country, have we? Probably not. But I think we're getting there. Things are going back to normal now.
I agree. Tell us the significance of the Muslim Women's Day global campaign. That's what you're here to talk about, amongst other things.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Muslim Women's Day is on Monday. It's our global campaign that's run by MuslimGirl.com. We launched it as our way to create a moment to respond to hate with love. We actually launched it during the Muslim ban. And the reason why was because it was a moment where everybody was really honing in on Muslim women, elevating the hate crimes. Obviously, we're a very visible religious minority in the country. And so this became our call to action to our friends and allies to pledge this one day during Women's History Month, March 27th, to centering Muslim women's voices, celebrating a Muslim woman, shouting her out, really just empowering us. And you know, obviously it started very much with our media partners, where we have dozens of top brands in the digital space that really just focus on flooding the internet with content, elevating our voices.
Now, Ramadan starts this week, right?
Yeah.
So explain to people that don't know what Ramadan is. Break that down a little bit.
Yeah, Ramadan literally starts, what is it, Abdul, tomorrow?
Tomorrow,
the day
yeah.
after? Yeah, so Ramadan is the holiest month of the year for Muslims. So you're going to be catching a lot of Muslim colleagues with a lot of bad breath in the morning. We're going to be fasting from sunrise to sunset every day. No, not even water, no drinking, no food, nothing. But it goes way deeper than abstaining from food and drink. You know, like Ramadan is all about really abstaining from negativity in general, the things that bring you down, bring your spirit down, bring your soul down, and just focusing on elevating yourself in every definition possible. So it's like, it's pretty much an honor that Muslim Women's Day overlaps with Ramadan every year. It changes every year. So
And it strengthens your discipline, too, because if you can avoid natural, tendencies like eating and drinking, then you can avoid, pursuing negative thoughts or
exactly.
maybe doing some negative things or even being petty towards a person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not supposed to be talking about people behind their back. Easier for some than others. You know, you're actually not even supposed to have an angry outburst or lose your temper while you're fasting, or it spoils your fast. You know, it's really just about going from the inside out. And I do want to say that I think this year is also really significant because yesterday we just commemorated the 20-year anniversary of the U.S. invasion of Iraq. And having that also kind of come into this moment for Muslim Women's Day, I think is so powerful because, the war on Iraq, I think, is the biggest modern day example of how devastating media misrepresentation can be for communities like ours, like minorities that are underrepresented. When we allow other people to tell our stories or speak on our behalf, like they did with Iraq, for example, we were saying that they had these weapons of mass destruction that we had to go in and, save the world from. And lo and behold, obviously, one of the biggest blunders in American history, there were no weapons of mass destruction. And we ended up going into Iraq, the home of one of the oldest modern civilizations in the history of mankind, and completely obliterating the country based on total misinformation. And a lot of that misinformation was representing Muslim women as being oppressed. And we had to go in there and rescue them. We had to go in there and liberate them and save them. And I started Muslim Girl because it's our way of talking back, that we show Muslim women have a voice of our own. There's no such thing as being a voice for the voiceless. It's about empowering people to use their voices for themselves. Who gets to tell our stories? Who gets to hold the pen?
It's crazy that I think Putin just got indicted for war crimes. But George W. Bush never got indicted for war crimes, for lying about there being weapons of mass destruction.
You know what I think is the best karma, though, and the biggest revenge is you see every single time that George W. Bush tries to give a speech about Ukraine, he always messes it up and says Iraq.
That's true.
He always says we shouldn't be invading a country like Iraq. Oh, I mean Ukraine. And he's gonna have to live with that on his conscience for the rest of his life. He can't outlive that.
You're right. This year's theme aligning with the United Nations on the digitization of women and girls. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, the digitization of women and girls. I mean, I think that, the modern battlefield is the internet now. You see that that's where a lot of the misinformation is spread. I think that, it's not weapons of mass destruction now, it's weapons of mass communication. That has the power to either completely, further oppress communities like ours that don't have the mic, or it can give us unalienable rights in our hands of the type of media we can democratize to use to speak on our own behalf. So I think for women and girls, having tools like social media and the internet in their hands is extremely powerful. For me, I mean, I grew up, 9/11 happened when I was a child. So I grew up through, the modern rise of Islamophobia in America. And as a kid going through that, just like kids today that live through the Trump era, you tend to grow up feeling very powerless, feeling like your hands are tied behind your back and you can't do anything about it. And for me, the only tools that I had were my keyboards, like my cell phone. And it's like, those are things that are so easily accessible now that anybody can use as their own weapon to talk back. And that's how we really brought it to this moment. That's how Muslim Women's Day even started. It's kind of like, all right, Muslim women have been misrepresented by the media for actual decades now. Let's create an opportunity to try to balance the scales just a little bit, and really put that pen back in our hands. They always say that history is written by the hands of the victor, right? The pen is always in the hands of the victor. So when you think about who's the one really writing history, it's never people like us, and that I think that has got to change. The digitization of women and girls is a huge step in that direction. You can't fight that.
What about action though? Like you're the type of person, you actually went out there, ran for Congress. I feel like sometimes this generation only wants to be on social media and it's just words.
I don't think so. I think especially when you're born into it, it's really powerful to have that fluency. Like modern technology today is its own language. And a lot of people talk about like armchair activism, right? Or like you're sitting at home, you're tweeting about things, whatever. But all those tweets, all the shares, all the things that you really talk about online, that shifts public opinion, and public opinion is powerful. Public opinion is what decides if we're gonna do like publicly support going to war with a country that we've never even heard of before, or people that we've never even met before. Public opinion is what decides if we're going to really give a damn about human rights. Public opinion is what's going on right now with what's happening with Trump. I mean, we're also talking about today, Trump might get indicted. He might become the first president in American history to get indicted.
I don't think that's happening.
You don't think it's happening?
No, I don't think this country will ever truly know how to punish that level of whiteness and that level of privilege.
Yeah.
And I don't. If he ever does get indicted, it won't be for these charges in New York. Maybe Georgia.
Yeah.
I still think Merrick Garland should be first. You know what I mean? But I don't see it. Maybe though. You never know.
But I think that's where like the social media and like the talking and all of that stuff, that's where it really comes into play, right? Because if enough of us have a voice where we're putting up the public pressure in every avenue available to us, we're gonna force a precedent like that to happen, where we do put a white president behind bars for the things that he's done.
Because he'll use social media to incite violence to avoid prosecution.
Yep.
And being that's what happens in dysfunctional countries.
Yeah.
We're in a dysfunctional country. What I mean? January 6th showed us that. So as long as you can incite violence to avoid prosecution, I think they're more scared of that than the other side. I
mean, also as long as you stay ignorant. Right? Like that's like a very important ingredient in all of it, because democracy led by an uneducated population is doomed to fail. Like that's going to be, we're going to have reality stars running the country and things like that.
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
So it's like, especially using digital tools to really educate ourselves. I mean, with Muslim Girl, for example, the whole reason why we created this online platform is like, come to the source, come to the actual communities that are directly impacted by the things going on in the world. Don't hear it from somebody else that wants to speak on our behalf or say what we're all about. And, that's also why spaces like the Breakfast Club are so powerful, right? When we have media that's like led by Black people, you get to write the culture, you get to shine a spotlight on the things that are important and that the people should be paying attention to. And I think that we need more alternative media that's led by us. We need more of, and it's not just about like going out and starting a media company or a platform. It's literally using your own social media, your own personal brand, your own access to your phone and things like that. You know, like there's way more that you could be doing on your phone than just like keeping up with like Blueface and Krishan Rock.
That's
you know,
right.
like there's so many more powerful ways to be like using your time. We just got to tap into it.
Now, you talked about Islamophobia, right? Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse from the last time we spoke to you?
Good question. I think that when you don't have a psycho like Trump in office, it kind of makes people feel like the urgency isn't there anymore. You know, when you have someone literally launching a Muslim ban and saying an entire group of people can't enter the country, obviously it's gonna, you know, flare off like the alarm bells, right? And then when you have a president like Biden in office, it kind of makes people think like everything's cool again and all of that. But I think what Trump taught us is that the hate is there. Minorities have been talking about this for generations, that racism exists. You know, like we didn't need a racist to come into office to prove that to anybody. But what he did was really let it come out in the open. Now it's just going back underground again. Doesn't mean it's not there. Doesn't mean that it does not still need to be addressed. It absolutely does.
Shit is making its way up to New York right now because they think that their guy's about to get indicted.
Yeah.
What they say they having a rally?
drive-through. What's like a drive-through? They're gonna be driving from Long Island to MAGA cars. And
Yeah.
stuff
No
like-
way, really?
Yeah, from Long Island.
Yo, in New
Hundreds of
York?
them. Yeah, they're
Yes.
gonna be driving from Long
Yeah.
Island out to thing. But what made me think about it is every time I see a movie or they talk about 9/11, I just wonder how crazy does it get for you? Because I think TMZ's doing a fifth plane movie. And they talk about the fifth plane that was hijacked that nobody talks about. And I was wondering, damn, every time that comes up, do you get stares when you go to the airport? Do you feel like they pull you to the side? Like, does it get worse every time?
Oh my God, yeah. Especially like when you're living in New York. For me, most of my life, like the anniversary of 9/11 was like, all right, I gotta wrap my headscarf a different way so that people don't realize that it's like a Muslim scarf.
Really?
I gotta like yeah, of course. Like it's scary. It gets really scary. And you know, even with like the group chat with my friends, like guys, like, you know, be on alert. You know, every time there's like a mass shooting in the news, we all collectively hold our breath praying that it's not a Muslim, because we know that we're all going to pay the price for it. Meanwhile, obviously, like the number one, you know, profile of like mass shooters are like
White male.
white male. Yeah, exactly.
white male,
And
yep.
like they like you don't see the collective paying the price for that. You don't even see like the government making any moves to address that. Meanwhile, like, you know, 9/11 happened, and ever since we have to take off our shoes when we walk into the airport, you know? And also I think a huge part of it too is just the way that we're represented. You know, like when you think of the idea of like who these hijackers are, what a terrorist is, they're men that look like my father, my brothers, my cousins, you know, like people that are just stereotyped and grouped into one huge monolith. And when you do that, that's how you can dehumanize an entire population of people. That's when they become an object. It's like, all right, whatever. Just a million Iraqi casualties, like whatever.
Right.
We all get excited when we see ourselves represented in the arts, right? Like TV, film. I wondered for you, did Miss Marvel do anything for you? Being, you know, set in Jersey,
Of course.
Muslim, like.
First of all, I am Miss Marvel. Brown Jersey girl with superpowers, okay? But yeah, I mean, it was really cool because Muslim Girl became the first Muslim media to ever cover a Marvel red carpet when we covered the premiere of Miss
Wow.
Marvel. So it was like a really beautiful full circle moment. And I think that those are the stories we need to see. Are you kidding me? Do you know what impact that would have had on me growing up if I saw a Marvel superhero that I could resonate with and connect with? Actually, there was this really interesting conversation that I had with Shonda Rhimes about Grey's Anatomy. And she was talking about how that show, showing these diverse women of color within the med field, it directly correlated with like a skyrocketing of women of color entering into medicine, you know, and like studying that. So just think the effect it has when Muslim girls, for example, only ever see a reflection of themselves in the media as oppressed, as victims, as tortured, as angry, as terrorists, you know? Imagine what happens when you see a positive reflection of yourself in the media around you, what that can do as a society. And that's the thing, like, this isn't just something that impacts Muslim women. Obviously, this impacts so many underrepresented identities, right? And what we're doing is really just depriving our society of all of the brightness and the glow and the progress and the positivity that we can bring to it if we just elevate people that deserve it, you know?
Now, I see on the sheet it says you blame Charlemagne for the worst first date ever.
Oh, God.
What happened?
What?
That's what it says on the sheet. It says, why do you blame Charlemagne for the worst first date ever?
This is going to take me out of my Ramadan vibes right now.
What happened? What happened?
I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely blame you for like
Okay,
the worst
good.
first date I've ever been on, for sure.
What happened? The guy remind you of Charlemagne? Look like Charlemagne? Short like Charlemagne?
I met this really nice, nice Muslim Arab man. Want to take me out on a date.
Okay.
Had like a beautiful career and profession. I'm like, all right, dope. Like this is gonna be good. He's gonna take me out on a nice date, whatever. Very first conversation. He's like, yo, like, I discovered what my calling is in life. Everyone has a calling and I discovered mine. I'm like, oh, like, that's amazing. What is it? He's like, I'm gonna quit my job and become a rapper. And this is his like next trajectory. Like he's like, that's how I'm gonna make $1 million. That's like whatever. Proceeds to hold me hostage in his car for 20 minutes that night to make me listen to his like crappy music.
It was that bad?
Are you with like the auto tune, like super low, like did not sound like him whatsoever. I'm just like, bro, like do not quit your job, please. Like
Jesus.
And then I'm not planning on like talking to him ever again because it's just like a miserable like whatever. And then he actually had the audacity to like DM me afterwards, like, yo, so like, I know like you and Charlemagne are cool. Do you mind sending him my music? I know he's gonna want to work with me, this and that. So I'm like, were you like, was that why you took me out on this like torturous date?
Wow.
You might have missed your blessing.
Yeah, he might
Listen.
be good. He might be good. Yeah. He might be good.
No, I dodged a listen. Muslim, like finding a good Muslim man today, and like from my background, from whatever my age group, like they are far and few between. So I felt like
So just tell him he sucks.
I
as a
got
rapper.
robbed.
That's it. Like I used to want to rap, and it took my man Dr. Robert Evans, who's a mentor of mine. He told me I sucked as a rapper, and he said you should focus on radio and being an executive. That's literally what he told me.
Charlemagne had a
25 years
stupid
ago.
rap name. Like, ask Charlemagne what his
Well, no,
rap name
at
was.
that
my
time,
God, I
my
have
rap
to
name
know
was
now.
Charlemagne. Before that, my rap name was Dizzy Van Winkle. But
What?
Exactly. Could you
high.
imagine
Wait,
Dizzy
is this
Van
like on
Winkle?
Wikipedia or something? I've never heard this.
But all it takes is for somebody to say you suck. All you had to do was tell that brother he sucks as a rapper. He'd have left it alone. Y'all been happily ever after right
Are
now.
you kidding? Like, no.
I wonder what his
you
rap
said
name
he was
was.
nice, but
Yo, after he's already like quitting his job and changing his entire life for this dream of his, I'm not gonna shatter a young man's like aspirations like that.
what is he doing now?
I mean, that's the thing. He was like a commercial pilot.
No!
I'm like, he's gonna take me out on some nice dates. That's gonna be fun. Like,
No,
secure.
man. No, man.
Jesus.
Wow.
Man.
I'm like, you're leaving that for this?
He probably went
Yeah,
back.
disappointing.
He probably went back to flying.
I sure as hell hope so.
Yo, hit Amani up, King. All right.
He gonna be the next
Tell
rapper.
you-
Watch. He gonna be
tell
blowing
you
up and he
gave up
watch.
rapping, yo.
Yo, but after 30 days, like once Ramadan has passed.
Jesus.
You recently went to the White House too to see Dr. Jill Biden.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, no, it was really great. It was really awesome. She was delivering the International Women of Courage Awards. So we got to see some of the most influential women on the planet, like all coming to DC, to the White House to get these awards for exceptional things they've done. It was pretty cool to see like so many women from different backgrounds represented there. There was one woman who gave a speech. She was actually a senator from Malaysia, and she was the only awardee that was given the chance to like share some remarks, and to see her, stand out of her wheelchair to speak in front of the First Lady and the Secretary of State Blinken and start her speech with "Assalamu alaikum," peace be upon you. It was definitely a moment for me.
Do you feel like that administration is doing enough for Muslims?
Of course not.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Because when I think about how the last administration did an all-out assault on Muslims, I feel like, that pushback against that should be just as loud from the new administration.
should.
I don't even think they do enough to protect the people who worship in Congress.
Here's the thing. I mean, we're literally seeing attacks on Congress right now that really just parallel the silencing happening on a mass scale. I mean, look at what happened to Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
That's right.
First
right.
African-born congressperson, first Somali-born, and she was on the Foreign Affairs Committee, and the Republicans removed her. Literally, probably like the most useful voice that we have in the government to sit on a committee like that. And now, like, the entire committee looks like, just like the same white man over and over again if you scroll their like committee page, I think what's really important is for our communities to come together. You know, like I'll never forget when the Muslim ban started, right? I'm thinking about this a lot as we reflect on like the war in Iraq and how the cycle repeats itself. You know, how what happened with George W. Bush repeated itself with Trump for my community. And I was in this group chat with like all the American Muslim leaders from like national organizations and stuff like that. And as soon as the Muslim ban happened, they're all like texting. One of the first texts was like, where are our Black brothers and sisters? We need them to like stand with us right now and stuff like that. And you know, my immediate thought was, well, Mike Brown just got shot a few years earlier. Like, where was the Muslim community to stand with our Black brothers and sisters at that time, right? It's like, for us, and especially when you think about, you know, like where non-Black Muslims are and their disconnect with the Black community, it's so important because we inevitably need each other. You know, the weather always changes, and every time they're coming for one of us. So the only way is like, we have to, when that moment, that opportunity presents itself for us to step up, be an ally, have each other's backs, it's always on us to be the first ones to do it, because it's gonna come back around and we're gonna need that hand extended as well. You know, and that's our only liberation.
One question I wanted to ask is, you know, you see a lot of people that go for Trump, right? So there's Blacks for Trumps, there's Mexicans for Trumps. So what do you think when you see Muslims that support Trump? How does that make you feel?
Misguided.
Yeah.
Misguided as hell, yeah. It makes me feel bad.
Could you see why? Like, is there any reason why? Because that's how I feel when I see Blacks for Trump. It just seems odd.
Honestly, in my opinion, the only people that support Trump are trying to be white. It's just like close proximity to whiteness. Either that, or you are seriously a victim of capitalism, where like you think that maybe like financial policies or like the economy trumps people's lives and people like dying because of the hate. That's the only way to translate it, honestly.
And I was looking this morning. What was that on this morning on Instagram? They were mad at the young lady.
Ruby Rose.
It was Ruby Rose? Because she said Ramadan is coming. But then I guess her profile picture is her like popping her poom poom or something. I don't know. What
Well, it was her, I believe, yeah, it was her popping her poom poom, but I think she changed it to the garb.
With the hijab. With the hijab.
No
garb,
way,
yeah.
did she?
Yeah, it says Ruby Rose responds to backlash over Ramadan tweet.
I think she just tweeted Ramadan is coming.
Yeah, she said Ramadan, ready for Ramadan. That's what she tweeted. And people were killing her. Said, you bent over covering your poom poom in your profile pic talking about you ready for Ramadan. People were talking about her, I guess her Instagram is more herself in bikini. She's twerking and this, that, and the other. But I guess people are like, well, how can you be ready for Ramadan when this is what you post?
People are hating on my girl Ruby. Listen, she's with a Muslim man now. That's what happens. But also, you know, Ramadan, especially for women, isn't about the way that we dress. You know, like she could be out there naked for all I care. It doesn't mean that she can't practice Ramadan and, you know, be challenging herself internally and trying to be a better person. Like that's what it's all about. So you just got to give people grace.
That's what I feel. I feel like, well, damn, if she is in her pictures half naked, shouldn't you be happy that she might be, you know, turning over a new leaf maybe? I don't know.
Like, and that's not what being a spiritual person comes down to. That's something that Muslim women have to deal with all the time. I deal with it. I wear a headscarf in my daily life. I get hate all the time from Muslims and non-Muslims. Like, you're not wearing it the right way. You're showing your neck, you know, like whatever. But it's like, that's something that only women have to experience. It's just sexism.
All right.
Yeah. It doesn't come down to what she wears. But I mean, like, I'm proud of her. Good for her. It wasn't like it's a tweet mocking the religion in any way.
Right.
You know, anyone can get behind it. And like I said, you know, when when you start to go for like a Muslim man, then they tend to pull you into things like that quicker, sooner than later. So
you could never date a non-Muslim man.
I mean,
Have you before?
I would never say never, but
Have you dated a non-Muslim man?
I wouldn't call it like dating. I've gotten to know people that were non-Muslim for sure. To each their own, you know. But I think that
What, non-Muslim munches?
Wait, I gotta trademark that one. No, but it's like, you know, we believe that people of the book all come from the same source. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a Christian, if you're a Jew, if you're a Muslim, and you believe that you're a religious person, but you don't also believe that all of our religions come from the same place,
Right.
then I don't consider you a true believer. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day.
Okay.
And you got a beauty product line coming out, right?
Got something in the works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it?
Can't talk about
That's
it yet.
okay.
Can't talk about it yet, but keep an eye on MuslimGirl.com and.
But it says it says it's spirituality focused.
Yeah.
It's not something you hear in terms of makeup. You can't speak on that.
Bro, she said she don't want to talk about it. Like,
Right, okay.
No, but I mean that also is like in line with what we're talking about, right? It's like our communities need products that are by us and for us. We know this. Nobody understands what our needs are better than we do.
That's right.
And there's a complete lack of that on the market. So yeah, you know, and it's about for like us owning what we create. It all comes down to ownership. So I think that that's a huge part of us really just playing the system.
Word.
Well, we appreciate you for stopping by.
And if they want to donate to Muslim girls, what do they do?
Check out MuslimGirl.com. Follow Muslim Girl on all social medias. Follow me, Amani, on all social media, and keep updated about Muslim Women's Day next week. And of course, we got a lot of programs coming up for Ramadan. So
And
Thank you so much.
when you launch the beauty product line, you got to come back.
oh yeah, for sure.
Word.
Would love to.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's Amani, and we appreciate you for joining us, and thank you for coming in person this time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's the Breakfast
Love
Club.
being
Good
here.
morning.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.